in to the Cash Flow Show with Dave and Nate, the best place to navigate how to achieve capital appreciation with commercial acquisitions. Here's your hosts, Dave Seymour and Nathan Amaral.
All right, Mr. Seymour, we are here, and hello to everybody.
Hey, hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
TGIF, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Solid. Yeah, solid. Been an intense week. It's been good. How about you?
Awesome. It's been a busy one. I had a headache this morning because
poor baby.
Yeah. Just had some issues with the banks and stuff, but we got it resolved literally like 20 minutes ago, so that was great. But we're here now. You know we're here.
Good. You're here.
We're here on the Cash Flow Show. Do you recall any of these? Do you recall any of these, or do you have your own pound? Oh, excuse me. You have the British pound.
We're no longer slumming it in the EU.
Oh.
We're back up. Brexit, baby. How was that? What's that for a plan? No, I just it's just these. Bennett, my 8-year-old, came up to me last night and he goes, "Dad, I want all your cash." He goes to my euro, right?
Yeah.
I said, "I tell you what, buddy, you see my little stack right there? You can have all the cash in that stack." So he grabs my credit cards, my stack of credit cards, and he looks at them, and you just watch this little mind go, because he knows there's money in that plastic.
Right. How do I get it out?
How the hell do you wring it out? Do you throw it up in the air, and money falls down? And then he looks at me and he goes, "You just tricked me, huh, Dad?" I might have. Just understand, credit is good. It's a tool. We can use it.
It's a tool.
Cash flow show, man. That's it. What are we talking about? What are we doing?
We're going to talk about some money today. That's always an important topic.
I know we always start light.
Yeah.
But I can't avoid this anymore because I've had some conversations. What are you doing?
I was just gonna say we're not gonna start light. We're just gonna go right to. Can we at least say hi to everybody? Can we at least start with just like, "Hey guys, if you're new to the show."
All right, do your thing. Let me know when you're done. I'm gonna get down and dirty. All right, if you want to do all the dog and pony.
All right, so hold on a second. Everybody who's watching, just if you want to say hi to Dave, now's a good time to do that. If you want to say hi to me, probably you could do that too.
Say hi to Nate.
Every time we do a show, it's "Hi Dave, hi Dave." You're great, Dave.
I'm famous.
You're famous.
I'm a legend in my own mind. That's my kids.
So good stuff. So yeah, if anybody wants to say hello, throw it in the comments, and we'd like to say hi back to you. Hey, see Vamsi? See? We're already saying hi. Vamsi's saying hi. She wants to say hi, Dave.
How are you?
Good stuff. And Thomas, good to have you here, buddy. Good to have you. And Vamsi, nice to see you on the show today. We're going to make some new adjustments on the coloring there. Okay, but Thomas is here. Vamsi is here. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Dave, you ready to go off the cliff?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Yeah, I am.
Let's do it. Let's get in there.
This is important. It's not funny what we're about to get into.
Straight face.
I've had a lot of calls this week, and here's why it's not funny, because what's happening next is going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to hurt them in their safety, their security. It's going to hurt them in retirement. It's going to hurt them in long-term wealth creation. It's probably going to really affect some homes, right? Mm-hmm. Think about it for a second. King in his castle mentality. It's really what this country, as so much of its foundation has been on owning a piece of land, owning your own home, safe behind your own walls, law, order, consistency.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think some of those safeties are going to be challenged. In fact, I don't think. I'm 99.9% sure some of that's going to be challenged. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Nate, and the reason I framed it around, are we going off a financial cliff? The answer to that is absolutely no. We are going to go over one. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly when it is. I don't have a crystal ball. But I've been pulling a lot of data, doing a lot of research, and a lot of high-level conversations this week with some people on the inside looking out, rather than on the outside looking in. I'm sick and tired of people telling me that there won't be any change in the housing market due to COVID. You know me, I get a little direct once in a while. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb to go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what are some of these changes? Because I've had a few conversations, even with a few guys who are doing like a lot of volume, even some hedge funds. But what kind of changes are you talking about?
We're talking about changes in market value. We're talking about changes in inventory. We're talking about the ability to maintain and get home ownership. Right, the American dream is to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
And look, here's why I'm getting kind of direct and dialed in on it. Is that for some reason, common sense and fundamentals seems to have like taken a back seat. Our nation is, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side of the equation you're on, we have a herd mentality. We have a herd mentality in having to have the latest gadget gizmo. We have herd mentality in fashion. We have herd mentality in the latest trend in health. We have herd mentality in retirement. We have herd mentality in keeping up with the frickin' Joneses. And that herd mentality allows people who understand it to prey on it. All right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where people are defending just outright stupidity. I don't know how else to put it. So I watched a video today, and I'm going to plagiarize and rip the guy off.
Okay.
Because it was good.
Okay.
Look, it's all data. It's just repackaging and delivering the information that's already out there, right?
Sure.
Why am I raising $100 million? Why am I focusing on multifamily assets? Why are you doing the same thing? Because we know something, and we know it with certainty. Otherwise, we wouldn't be embarking upon these business adventures, planning into the end of Q3, end of Q4, beginning of Q1. Right? We know something's coming. So what's coming? An absolute shake-up and a restructuring in the value of the single-family residential marketplace is coming. Here's why I know it's coming. You've heard this, and stop me at any time, Nate. But you've heard this as much as anybody else has. Is that real estate is cyclical. Real estate is predictable. And we said this last week. Whether you're a stock market investor, you can look back 20 years. You can see what the stock market did T20, trailing past.
Yeah.
Gives you a pretty good idea of what's going to happen going into the future. And most investors are okay with those smaller returns. They take them. They know that they're going to ride up and down. It's just the game that they play. Well, in the real estate world, as educated investors, we can play a similar game, but we play it with a higher return potential in comparison to the stock market. So let's have a history lesson. In 2004, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
All right, 2004, 5, 6.
The same years I was a mortgage broker, which I'll circle back around to in a second.
So you know where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
Mortgage brokers at that time were able to write what we jokingly now refer to as pulse lending, pulse loans. If you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan.
Yeah.
The central banks have historically, or hysterically, depending on which way you look at it, have historically, made billions of dollars through 401k retirement plans and also through mortgage lending, right? That's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And what happened was 4, 5, 6, 7, the valuation of real estate, we jokingly used to say, you could buy a house on Monday and sell it on Friday for a 10% increase in value. And it was really that ridiculous. There was no fundamentals in it.
Sure.
There was massive appreciation, right? Massive appreciation. And with that appreciation came the predatory lending that we know today that crashed the market. The way that they did that, you can do your own education on it. Go ahead, Nate.
Well, I was going to say that, the banks, being a broker at the time, right? We had all these products, right? We had all these types of products being, 30-year fixed rate, right? Those are different products, 15-year. And so we had all these products. And when it came to the pulse market or the, stated income, no documentation loans, and we saw a product that gave us more commission. Dave, we could offer a product where we could say, hey, there's no fees. to our customer, to our borrower. We could say, hey, there's no fees for this, or it's a 0.5%. And they're thinking, wow, this is a great mortgage broker. Yeah, okay, we weren't charging fees up front. We were eating out our competition. We're beating them out. The reality is, on the back end, the the bigger banks were compensating you for pushing a certain product. So when you take a 30-year at this one with this compensation of maybe 3 to 5 points and whatever it was, I mean, it was so simple. It was just like, okay, stated income, higher compensation, you go for it.
So let's look at it. So you've got no no document loans, right?
Yep.
No stated income. I earn. How much do you earn, son? 40,000. No. 42,000?
Yeah.
No. 50,000?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Did you say 55,000? Excellent. Or
Right.
150. It doesn't matter what the number was, right? Stated income.
Yeah.
No doc loans, no verification. And then just for educational purposes, and you can back me up on this, the majority, if not all of those loans were what we call ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages.
Absolutely.
Subprime lending.
Exactly.
Nathan, below prime.
Subprime lending, adjustable rate mortgages. We had presentations. I would present every Tuesday to a room of 30 to 40 people on how we would save them money on their mortgage every month, and by putting them into an adjustable rate mortgage with 2 points on the front, 5 points on the back, all day long.
Right.
We'd sign them up by every Tuesday.
America is buying houses that they literally cannot afford.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
Exactly.
Now, how are they doing it? Because they made the financing fit that they could make an acquisition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the house of cards has been now established, and it happened, and nobody ever believed that the housing market would crash, right? Nobody ever believed.
True.
It was straight up predatory theft is what it was. Mm-hmm. So the reason that we're going into a history lesson is because history repeats itself, but it just might have a different exterior.
This one has a different exterior, for sure.
It just looks a little bit different, right?
That's right.
So let's stay with the history lesson for a second. Mm-hmm. So America en masse buys mortgages that they can't afford, and at the same time dumping any residual, leftover money into 401k retirement programs that don't perform and have hidden fees attached to them. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of getting it from both ends, on the income and the outgo. So while all of this is going on, with love, it's not a moral observation to a mortgage broker. You had a job, you could do a job, you were allowed. It wasn't breaking the rules. You did what you did. Yeah. But the mortgage brokers made out like a bandit, and if they made out like a bandit, we know the bandits did.
Right.
And the bandits are, the bandits.
Well, that's what the bailout was all about, though. And that's what the bailout was all about.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, right? Like. I get emotional, brother, because I was a victim of this circumstance.
Oh, I didn't know that. You had an adjustable rate?
Dude, I had 3 in 18 months.
Oh, my
because
goodness.
I was a financial donkey. I didn't know anything. I just kept on doing what my friend said was a really good thing to do, who was a mortgage broker.
Right.
So as the market began to default and fold under questioning, Henry, right? Mm-hmm. As the market began to go into foreclosure, you then got to see what happened is all of these mortgages, we then find out, have been packaged as an investment entity.
Right.
And they call them CDOs back then. Yeah. Collateralized debt obligations.
Right.
So you've got, 10,000 loans in a package. That's an investment that they take to Wall Street.
Right.
And they would get purchased. And now don't forget that every investment needs to be graded. So Moody's out there doing their thing, and everything was A+.
Right. That's so true.
It was like chaos. Wild West.
Yeah.
And we know what happened next. First foreclosure, second foreclosure, third, fourth, boom, 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 and off it went.
Right.
Now, what happened next was horrendous enough in itself. You got to go. You're out. You're out of your home. Mm-hmm. So you can't stay in your house. Everybody's looking for rental property. And with that chaos came unemployment. We spiked unemployment back then as well.
Right.
So high unemployment and high inventory.
Mm-hmm.
High inventory, high unemployment, low prices. It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
And that's crashed the value. Now, out goes one administration, in comes the next administration. President Obama, God bless him, walks into a complete and utter shite show, right? Now he's got to figure out what the hell are we going to do? How are we going to fix this?
Right.
Now it's documented today. And what they did was they had a meeting. And it was behind closed doors.
Usually is.
Right? And today it's documented. Research it. I ain't your daddy. Do your own homework.
Yeah.
All right? Trust but verify. So the administration, Obama administration, meets with Wall Street, the central banks.
Yeah.
And there was a third party that was there, or that was represented there. And it was the very best marketers in the world. Because here's what it was. We just screwed over the American public.
Yeah.
And now we need a bailout.
Right.
How do we get them on board with a bailout? Now, listen to me carefully, dude.
All right.
They came out of there and they said, you know what we need to do? We need to use what we've always used, herd mentality. How can we drive a herd of people towards something that they probably, if they stepped back and looked at it, would not pick, which was bailout?
Right.
How do you drive them there? You do it with one emotion. What is it?
Fear.
Fear. And listen to me carefully, dude.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we started hearing on the airwaves, CNBC, NBC, Fox News.
All of them.
Any news channel.
So true.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America is 27 days away from going over the financial cliff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a financial cliff. What does that mean? I don't know, but I think that going over a cliff is bad. It's bad, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now 15 days away from the financial cliff.
Yeah.
Do your research. You can still find the news clips.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was brought into our psyche. And we as a herd said, holy moly, I can't go over a financial cliff.
That's right. Panic.
Remember?
Panic in the marketplace, man. It was panicking.
Chaos and panic in the marketplace. So we step up. Now listen, we then, I don't know what the number is, but I know it was more than $50.
Okay.
Was it trillions? Was it billions? Some intelligent person can get that number for me. How much was the bailout?
I think it was $750 billion, wasn't it?
Was it 750 billion?
It's
let's say, doesn't matter. Let's say that's the number. So $750 billion of taxpayer money comes back into the marketplace, and just as a little bit extra, why don't we print some more currency while we're at it?
Exactly.
And that's what they did. Now, what did that do? Devalued the dollar bill.
Right.
And at the same time, we've now propped up the economy on unearned income. There's no GDP attached to that. There was not a transference of value to put that money into the economy to at least support it enough so that it didn't just implode. So that's what they did. Now, listen. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Watch.
Yeah.
What happens then is human beings, for some reason, have short, if I could swear I would, frickin' memories. They have short memories.
True.
And
it's been a while.
We get Senator Barney Frank from the great state of Massachusetts.
Oh, man.
And the other Senator Todd, they get together, and out comes the Todd-Frank Act.
Exactly.
And it says, you know what? No more of this. You bad boys in banking.
Bad people.
You're all. By the way. They all got kicked out of their jobs with $10 million bonuses.
Yeah, and that Dodd-Frank Act was really like not just a slap to the banks. It even trickled it all the way down to it even scared smaller investors, private investors.
Yes, it did.
You know, unfortunately, but
because what they did was they said no more of this wild west.
Right. Truth
in lending.
Exactly.
Truth in lending. These creative financing. You know, as you said, a suite of services that you had as a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Which one fits best with this client that I can make the most amount of money?
Exactly.
So the Dodd-Frank Act comes into play, and everybody has to hold their horses on the financial side.
Right.
And Wall Street, pivots and moves in other directions, and time ticks by. 2010, 11, 12. One of the biggest transference of wealth in our country. So, summation. High unemployment, right?
Yeah.
huge government influx of capital
True. Yep, we got that.
resulted in a reduction in price value,
Yep.
right? And a reduction in an increase in inventory. That was really what happened, right?
Yeah.
And then we had to absorb that inventory. Well, how do we absorb it? We did it as real estate investors, large scale, small scale, your Black Rocks, all that kind of stuff come in, 5, single family houses at a time, et cetera, et cetera. And we turn and we go and we get 8 years of Barack Obama and the Democratic Party. And, things are okay, one would say. One would say they're not okay. I'm not going to get into a political debate, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And then everything's kumbaya, man. I mean, the
For a
economy
while.
is moving in the right direction.
Right.
All of a sudden, buy houses.
Yeah.
And then they started looking at this packaged loans again, these pockets of loans that got packaged. Only these were called BTOs.
Mm.
And they started packaging and selling these in about 2015, which was about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
A BTO stands for a bespoke tranche opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Bloomberg News investigated what is inside a BTO, and their commentary was a BTO is just another name for a CDO.
Yeah, trash.
Now, I am not smart enough to be on this call and tell you that I could analyze and break that down and agree. All right?
Yeah.
Truth in lending, Dodd-Frank, the restrictions that were put on the banks after the crash. They obviously did some good to turn it around. But then in came a new administration in 2006. New guy shows up.
Yeah.
Business, and the bankers love him because he relaxes all of those
The regulations. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're off and running again. Now, this is where we have to pay attention. We are now in the highest unemployment this country has seen since the Great Depression.
Right.
Okay, I'll say it again. We're in the highest unemployment that the country has ever seen since the Great Depression.
Yep.
Our inventory is low.
Very, very low.
Our prices
Are high. Very high.
Hold on a minute.
This sounds
Inventory is low.
This sounds familiar.
Hold on. Unemployment is low.
Yeah.
And prices are exceptionally high.
Yeah.
Well,
And
how on earth? Hold on. How on earth can that be? Real simple. We've already got another bailout for what's coming next.
you think we already got the bailout?
$3 trillion freaking dollars, dude.
Yeah, but
Don't fuck me, dude. Don't
No.
fuck me.
Wait.
Go ahead.
All right, I want to the first bailout, right? This just most recent bailout, okay? 2020 bailout. A lot of funds for people for the PPP program, to people's salaries being paid and all that, right?
Yeah.
Grant money and stimulus money
Yep.
given out. Okay.
Excellent.
The only thing that's a little different, right, in this one, you tell me, is we have an interest rate at a low, right? We're still at a low interest rate. But do you hear or see people that can't afford property or income coming into the marketplace?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I know.
Here's why.
Here's
why. Get the mortgage now because the locomotive is on the way.
Right.
If Mary Beth would let me sell my house today, I would sell it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Sell.
Because people right now they're in a buying frenzy. I was just mentioning this the other day. They're in this buying frenzy, and you have to think about it. If there's a bunch of unemployment, right, and people are being stimulated by the bailout right now, and now they're going into properties. So you're saying that the bailout came before the crash, and in 2008 it was different.
To anticipate the crash that is coming, it has to, Nathan.
Yeah.
It has to. Because watch, unemployment numbers are at the highest they've ever been since the crash.
Exactly.
And yet how many trillions of dollars went out to keep people employed? So when that money runs out, if the economy and COVID have not found their happy place together, what are we going to do? Just stroke another $3 trillion for another round of PPP? When the unemployment checks run out, when the rent deferment and the forbearances run out, all of this capital came into the market as a Band-Aid, a finger in a dike. And as soon as that magic money that has no transference of value, I didn't do anything. Like one of my companies received PPP. It was a challenge business, had 2 employees. I didn't receive that PPP for anything other than having a company that was in business.
Right. Just existing. Just existing.
Right. I know contractors who got $100,000.
Yeah.
The guys were still kind of plodding along and doing okay.
Yeah.
It's not based on common sense. Now look, somebody's going to hear me and say, you know what, Dave, you're an a-hole. You're an a-hole. I needed that money.
Right.
And I get it. And I'm not going to go, you should or shouldn't get it. Who the hell am I? You know who I am? I'm somebody who's bringing fundamentals and intelligence to a really screwed up situation, because the next person who tells me there won't be a correction in the market, I think I will slap them upside the head. There has to be.
There has to be. But
it's action reaction. For every action there is a reaction. For every force there is a matching force. It's physics, for God's sake.
True. Yeah. So let me interject here with what's happening. Like what we have right now, we have the unemployment running out. Their benefits run out at the end of this month, and so something's got to happen, right? Something has to give, because if people are not going back to work, coronavirus is on its second wave. A lot more people on lockdown now, and United States is having the second wave. So I anticipate, and from what I'm hearing, there's going to be another bailout, another stimulus, another round 2 of stimulus. And that could be another $3 trillion. Could be $4 trillion.
Okay, great. What does that do? What does that do?
That buys, people are going to buy more houses. It's gonna pump more money into the economy just to sustain people.
But watch, Nathan. It's just pushing off the inevitable.
Right. Exactly. It's very true.
It's pushing off. Yeah, buy some more houses. Go for it.
Yeah.
And the banks are going to be okay with you buying more houses, because they will take back that inventory at pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
It has to happen. I don't think anymore it's a delicate debate for the pundits on TV to have. I'm not a Harvard graduate. I don't have degrees coming out of my rear end. I've got over 12 years of experience in real estate investing at all levels, and I've been through all cycles. And if you ask me to buy a single-family house right now that I could fix and flip in maybe 6 months, I'd tell you I'm not interested, even if the numbers were spectacular.
Yeah.
Because nobody, and I mean this, nobody can tell me what the after-repair value is going to be of a property in their neighborhood in 6 months from now, because of the amount of chaos and uncertainty in the marketplace.
Yeah, the single-family market is definitely inflated. It's definitely overpriced, and all our for our investing side for a single family, we got it on hold. We're waiting unless we get a magical, like we had one come across the table last month. Magical single family deal. Oh wow, this is great, but we haven't been actively marketing for single family. We've been, like, for example, that's why we moved into commercial for the time being. 2 years ago we started moving into hotels or more apartments, and the reality is that it's just like a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time before everything goes the other way. I had a friend of mine who just sold close to New Bedford in Fall River, New Bedford. He sold 2 properties, both of them over $150,000 more. Both of them over $150,000 more. Like, wait, what?
I got one in New Bedford. Why didn't he come and buy mine? I got a loan. I got a loan on one.
Wait, are you selling? Are you selling, or you just bought it?
No, we're selling it. I'm the lender on it. I'm just
okay.
waiting for the GC to get some
Yes.
offers on it.
Well, this property was a unique situation. It was out of probate, right? And so they could only go after the last year's appraised value, okay? Unfortunately.
Sure.
So when they sold, they bought, but yet they asked for 150. So this guy, I mean, he made out, but the reality is people are overpaying for property that values are not even there. I mean,
Look,
there's too high.
Here's the challenge with it, right? If I'm overpaying for a property, what's my DTI? I mean, you know DTIs were
That's income.
loose,
Yeah.
right? Loose
Yeah.
at the time of writing mortgages in your day.
Yeah.
If there's a mortgage broker out there who's listening, I'd love to know what DTI ratios they're using today, because I bet they're a little less aggressive than they used to be.
That's actually a great question. If there is a mortgage broker, I don't know those current numbers. I mean, back then it was, I think, 43% off the top of my head. But right now, I don't even know what those numbers are.
Yeah, I think they're still hovering around 43, 44% right now. So if it was that back then and it's that now, there's another indicator to tell you that maybe there isn't fundamentals in the lending again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So the challenge I see is this, Nate. A large proportion of America cannot sustain, like 3 months without making any money. Right?
Yeah, I would say less than that.
Right? Well, I'm being polite, right? It's probably less than that.
You're saying 3 months with stimulus. I would say weeks without a stimulus. I mean, most people can't afford to go. It's check by check, and that's not Nathan saying that. That's there. That's in the pudding.
Here's the play, right?
Yeah.
Here's the play. If that is reality, that creates, I think it's 9% nationwide is in forbearance right now. 9% of the country's mortgages, which is ridiculous. I was talking to a New England mortgage broker this afternoon, a friend of mine, and he's defending defending New England, and he said, well, it's 3.3% in New England. And then I think to myself, I wonder what the monetary value of 3.3% of the mortgages in New England is compared to 9% of the mortgages in Huntsville. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Price market. So it's all relative at the end of the day when it comes to dollars and cents.
Yeah.
But my point is that when they can no longer make the mortgage payment, when they've run out of handouts, and I don't mean handout like they weren't prepared to work for it, like it was just free cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was stimulus money again. It's a bailout.
Right.
When they can't make that anymore, they're gonna go, man. They have to. They're gonna have to leave. So end of Q4, if they throw another PPP package.
I think you're right about that one, because what we got on the table right now, it's already passed the House of Representatives. We're knocking at the Senate's door for this new stimulus package to come out. So if this new stimulus hits by the end of July, beginning of August, they're anticipating August because of unemployment runs out at the end of this month. So by the beginning of August, if we have another stimulus, then we're going to continue, I think, we're going to continue to see more people come to the market, more people refinancing, more people buying property right now. I just thought of another buddy of mine who just bought a house just like 2 weeks ago, bought a property, maybe should not have bought a house right now. And
listen to this. I spoke to an attorney, we'll say 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I asked this attorney, because I like feet on the street, right? I like reality, not just necessarily scraping data, which is so macro.
Yeah.
I like to go micro.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to this attorney, what do you see in the marketplace? And they told me a story that kind of really opened up my eyes. It was a multifamily unit.
Mm-hmm.
The seller was in the hospital with COVID. Okay. The buyer was, are we ready to close? Are we ready to close? Are we ready to close? Are we ready to close?
Yeah.
The seller, through representation, is saying, we got to sell this. We got to sell this. We got to sell this. Because the seller had COVID, and that individual knew that this was the only capital, if he didn't come out of ICU, that his family could then live on.
Yeah.
So he's driven to sell it at no matter what. Now the buyer is pushing extremely hard, and we find out afterwards the buyer lost their job on the morning of the closing.
Bye,
The bank
guys.
had
Sign.
the bank had already done, and the
Yeah.
commitment letter was in.
Yeah.
And this kid gets to the closing, signs, owns, and then turns around and says, "Whew, that was close.
Yeah.
I lost my job this morning."
Yeah. Don't get it. Yeah. The mentality would be
Listen to me. How can you even write that kind of a story? You can't.
right. The mentality
write that kind
the
of
mentality
story.
would be to go over the finish line at that point because they took all that time, that effort, right? And they're like, yes, I'm buying my house, my first property, whatever it is, right? But they're not looking at the long term. You said it earlier, the crowd mentality, right? It's like if everything's going this way right now, let me get in with the crowd. FOMO kicks in.
No, fear of missing out, baby.
Exactly. So that's, if you've got a bunch of people buying properties right now, if your friends are all buying new houses, you're going to feel like, well, I don't want to be the one not buying a house, So unfortunately, that's making people rush to decisions.
To tie it into the bigger picture, that's where your strategy and mine on a bigger scale is so powerful right now.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful. The people who don't live paycheck to paycheck, the people who have been blessed with a greater income or maybe some financial fortitude that others maybe haven't got in their lives. They're in a position now where it's like, okay, what the heck am I going to do? Because they can't ride this roller coaster of the stock market anymore. And they look for the alternative investment, which is where, guys like us are able to service that client base because it's just numbers. It's fact, man.
Yeah.
There is going to be an absolute boom in necessity for clean, decent, cool, affordable housing.
Yeah.
Right? Apartment complexes where people are happy to be there.
I agree with that.
It feels like home. Because they're going to be transitioning.
Well, you bring up a good point. We do have a question to get to. We'll go to this question. I want to talk a little bit more on that. But Vamsi is asking, so sell your house and sit tight until when?
That's a great question, right? So I'll use myself as an example. If I was going to sell my house right now, walk away with a six-figure profit, if I was going to do that,
Mm-hmm.
I got two choices. Okay, I can roll that into another property, then I don't pay any capital gains, right? Because it's ownership to ownership, owner occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Or I take the capital out of there and I think to myself, well, what can I do with it now? Can I invest it? And if I can invest it, I want a rate of return that's good enough for me to be able to make sense against my capital gains long term, right? So long-term cap gains, I think, is like 15%. Short-term's 18%. Check with your accountant. I'm not your accountant. I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you any legal or financial advice.
Yeah.
But I could explore that. Now, okay, great. Well, where the heck are you going to live? Well, guess what? My mortgage is $4,000 a month. I can get a really, really nice rental, right, at $2,500 a month. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if somebody is selling now, sell with intelligence. Get that capital out, put it to work. Invest it with Freedom Venture Investments. Seriously though, find places where you can get a higher rate of return than what you're going to get in the stock market.
Exactly. And so the question to that is, okay, so sell your home and buy a multifamily? Question mark?
Maybe. Again, look, if you sold a primary residence and you got a multifamily and you can buy 3 units, live in one rent-free, collect rent on the other 2, and your DNA is set up that you're okay being a landlord, and you understand all the laws, the rules, the regulations, the maintenance, the exposure, and everything else, go for it.
Yeah.
Right? Go for it. That was the conversation I had with this broker today. This particular individual, he's got income north of $500,000 this year from doing mortgages.
Yeah.
He's an accredited investor, and he's like, do I buy a 3-decker? and collect Section 8 rent. So, what do you think I should do? I said, it all depends on you. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just put money to work, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the reality of it. So some people like say, okay, well, I need a house. Where am I going to live, right? Well,
Yeah.
if the easiest way to look at it right now is houses are at like an extreme high, right? Single family, little multifamilies, 3 units, they're really expensive. As an investor, with the knowledge that you have, right, you have to say, if I'm going to go buy a property today, I can't go retail. I have to go wholesale. I have to go get the deeply discounted properties. There's going to be something wrong with that property. It's got to be with a motivated seller. So, but now if you're looking at a personal property, like, hey, I got to look for a place to live, that might not be. I'm of the mode of thought. See, I've been renting where I live for a long time, and I've been following that path for a long time. Why? And this is the part I wanted to bring in earlier, Dave.
Yeah.
Is I'm a millennial. Right. And I have this hit me 10 years ago when I was in a cruise down the Rhine River in Europe. Right. And I'm going down the Rhine River and I'm the youngest guy on the boat. Everybody else is 65 plus. I'm not kidding you. And I see this little old lady with her cane and her husband in a wheelchair. And I said, oh, my God, I do not want to be those people traveling at that age. I want to travel while I'm young. Yeah. So what does that mean for me? Do I want to be tied down to one property, one house that I got to pay a mortgage to? No, I made that decision. So I sold a property that I was living in and I decided to say I'm going to rent where I live, and all the other properties I have, they all bring in cash flow. So now, literally, my life. I could be anywhere. I can go from here, I can go there, and I go there as long as my wife is happy with it. No, but the truth is we want to travel now. We want to travel now. We want to give our kids the life experience that, most kids can't have because they're stuck in a box right now. That's what we decided to do. It's not for everybody, but that's what we decided. And, with millennials right now, they're looking for, especially with remote work, we've seen a huge uptake in remote work. We're seeing millennials now work more online. They don't need to be in the downtown area. They don't need to be in the suburbs. They can be out and remote and co-work, virtual work, right? That is what I think is the future, and it's still growing. That's a growing industry. I think a lot of people are missing out on even investments in co-working offices, virtual spaces where people can pop in and pop out for a day, a week, a month for work.
You know what's interesting, Nate? I love what you're saying, because it's like every financial application that anybody looks at, there's a box that says, do you own or rent?
Yeah.
Right? And the essence around it has always been, if you tick rent, then you're subpar to ownership. Right?
True.
Like my generation is trained that I tick the box of ownership.
That's very true.
And you and I have both, taught all over the country, internationally. Mm-hmm. And if you ask a room, what's your number one investment? They say my primary residence.
Yeah, it's so true.
I always say to them, what's the definition of an investment? An investment requires that capital goes out so that a return will come back in.
That's right.
Time, ladies and gentlemen, capital goes out and goes back in.
So true.
So by show of hands, please show me in the room who has capital going out, a mortgage payment, and then gets capital coming back in the form of monthly cash flow. And obviously nobody can put their hand up.
That's right.
And what does that mean? That means that, it's an investment, but the primary residence, one could argue, is not an investment for the individual that lives in it.
Right.
But you can bet your ass it's an investment for the bank who's collecting a month and more. And when do you pay your interest on a regular mortgage? You pay it all up front, baby.
Yeah, exactly. The first 7 years, a lot of it is all packed with interest.
And statistically, we move and refinance
every 5 to 7 years. Exactly. So when I knew that in the mortgage business, Dave, literally no joke, I remember the first few months in a as a mortgage broker, my boss would say, okay, you're going to go after these people. They've had a mortgage for 5 years. I'm like, why would I do that? Right? I didn't know. I was like, why would I do that? Because they're ready to refinance. We have better rates. We have better programs. And typically everybody refinances every 5 to 7 years. And those are the first leads I hit. That's where all the interest is. And the reality is people move and relocate. So at the end of the day, yes, there are some people who want to stay in their property and live there forever. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know your lifestyle and know what you want as a personal investor. and what you want to do with your cash flow.
Here's how I look at it. An accredited investor is primarily searching for cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is the cash flow show. What is cash flow?
Yep.
It's cash that flows, right? It's
right.
money that comes
Movement
towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, 90% of our country is trained to push money away, buy stuff.
Right.
We're consumers.
Right.
So when it comes to real estate, the question that I believe everybody could ask themselves is simply, am I in a cash flow position or am I in a cash go position? Because if all I do is go cash go, money coming out, and not any residual passive, meaning I don't have to work for it, passive cash flow coming in through investments, then they might want to pay attention because the shit's coming, dude.
That's right.
It's coming. The train is on the track.
It's here. It's in motion. It's like it's prep mode. It's prep mode. So it's like being prepped.
You cannot stop going over the financial cliff this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the capital has already been spent by the big boys in Washington. It's already out in the marketplace. And, if COVID doesn't disappear in the next 48 hours, you know what I mean? We've got some challenges.
Yeah.
We've just got some challenges. Downside is people's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Upside is smarter investors are going to come out being able to take care of people and make great incomes.
That's true.
Targeted internal rate of return of north of 20%. You kidding me? If you add that in a conversation, people go, "You're a liar." No, consistently we do it in real estate.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's been done over and over and over again. So exactly. I don't know, man. I got a little bit of a soapbox today, but you can understand why I don't want to hear it anymore. Don't tell me that there's not going to be a correction, you donkey. It's coming.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely is. And there's a lot of people who want more clarity on that. And I think what we can do on the next show, we can talk about what the vehicle is, right? So we have some questions here. We have people, I'm sure, wondering, well, okay, where do I move my money? Where do I put it? Where do I put it to get the cash flow, right? We got the stock market's very, very volatile, up and down every day. And then we have, real estate, but what do I do? Some people still have their job and they're comfortable and they're earning a great income, and that's great, but where are they going to hedge and protect their money? So that's something we could definitely talk about more next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about how do you hedge the downside and accelerate the upside is what we call it in the commercial world.
Exactly.
Right? And you do that through volume. Okay?
Yeah.
Do it through volume. If you've got $100 million, you're in a pretty good position. Well, most people don't have that in the bank account. So that's what a fund is designed to do. With $100 million buying power, you don't only buy cash flow and assets,
mm-hmm.
you also buy downside protection because of the depth of the fund.
Right.
One unit can maybe go a little bit skewy because you've got other units that are still performing at a higher rate of return.
Exactly.
So that's the power that an investor gets, when they elevate their game to the alternative investment world, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Good stuff. It's hot.
Yeah, man.
It's hot and good stuff.
Yeah, I'm sweaty.
I noticed we're both wearing white today, as if we think we're angels or something.
You look better than me as always. Though.
Oh, no,
the
come
Nike
on.
swish
Oh,
on there.
come on.
You know what I mean? I was doing really good for a week, and then I started eating again. I don't know. I got to switch.
What? You were doing the fasting?
Well, yeah. I wasn't really fasting. It was an app. You know what I mean?
The app is running, but you're still eating, right?
I'm still eating. Like, this thing says I should be 10 pounds lighter. This app.
It's not working.
Stop eating chips. Put down the potato chips. That's what I need. I need an alarm button on my app.
Right.
And I deleted the app. That shit didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. The app will help me lose 10 pounds.
That's right. What's crazy though is like, I will address it when I'm sick and tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like anything else in life.
So true.
When you really had enough.
Yeah.
Then you do something about it.
That's so
or
true.
You don't. And if you don't, guess what? You hadn't had enough yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true.
That's how I quit drinking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That's how I quit.
Is it 30 years now? 30?
Dude, I just picked up 30 years in January of this year.
Wow.
Imagine that. 23 years old and I drank my last drink.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my Lord. I
now
should
wait,
go out and get a six-pack to celebrate.
Don't you get a new token coin every 10 years?
What do you mean? It's anonymous. We're not even supposed to talk about it. It's like a special handshake.
Wait a second. Come on.
A new medallion, yeah.
Yeah, the medallion.
Yeah, I got a medallion. The kids call it my special coins.
Yeah.
That already paid the price for those ones. But it's the same thing. It's like, a decision to be financially independent, a decision to lose a couple of pounds.
That's so true.
A decision to go home to Mary Beth and tell her I'm sorry, right? And own it. You know what I mean? Those are all decisions. And it's amazed me how, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you make a decision,
That's so true.
Unfortunately, a lot of things have like claw marks attached to it.
Do you have to like go home and tell Mary Beth you're sorry today? Did something?
Yeah, I do. It's still her fault, but I'll apologize. It's tough, man. I mean, I got no problem with this, and I'm sure she doesn't either. It's like I look at my primary residence to the point of our conversation.
Yeah.
I can walk away with a pretty substantial chunk of change because I know some idiot's going to pay way too much for my house right now.
Yeah.
But try going home to my bride right now and saying, baby, we're going to move the house and move into a really nice apartment. Right? She would not choose to do that. Unfortunately, millions of Americans are going to get forced.
Yeah. There's a difference between the choice and the force, and it's better to have the choice and the freedom to do it than to be forced into it and be like, oh man, we should have made it. And sometimes I get it. Women are nurturers. I get it, and they want a place to call their home. It's all about selling the idea.
I'm a nurturer as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still.
But it really is about just selling the idea. I mean, have you sold the idea yet? Have you sold it that?
No, I sold the idea. I sold the idea.
There are better kitchens out there. There are better bedrooms.
I didn't think of that.
There are better yards. Swimming pools. Less neighbors. Find the pain and push the pain.
Yeah, but she's spoiled rotten, man. She doesn't have any pain.
Because you made the house so nice. She's like, no, I love this place.
I screwed myself. She's like, I got a great support system. I go, what? You can do yoga anywhere. The kids can go to school anywhere.
Yeah.
You can.
Sometimes the biggest pull is family, though. The family can be a big pull too.
You know what's funny? I'm glad you said that because we hadn't seen my in-laws in months, and all of a sudden they're on my back deck the other day. I get home, came up from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
and we're having a cookout. So I think that's her way of saying they're still right here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the family can always be.
I'm not listening to this, airing my dirty laundry on Facebook.
Now you're going to go home and ask for forgiveness.
I will. That's for the sushi and a little cuddle. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, brother. We good?
Yeah, we're good. We're on track for tomorrow. Next week, same time, same place, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody, for joining into the Cash Flow Show. He's Dave.
Do your own due diligence.
Do your due diligence. He's Dave Seymour. I'm Nathan Amaral. We'll see you next week.
I'm Nathan Amaral. Bye.
Yeah.